Hi there, my name's Shiraz with SM3 Empowerment, the home of business coaching and personal development. A question that got posed to me by one of my clients today, and it's one that I want to share with you, is what's the difference that makes a difference? What is it that makes some people so successful and the majority of others not as successful or not so successful? And the answer that I gave them was quite simple: taking action. The successful people are the ones who have continued to take the action, knowing full well that by keep on taking the action, they're going to ultimately achieve their goals. Now, the unsuccessful people have tried taking action, come across some obstacles, and then realised, I don't like this, and also given up. Successful people have simply carried on taking action. So the reverse side of that is not taking action. Procrastination. By its simplest definition, it simply means to defer, delay, and put off for another time the things that you know you need to do, because you know how to do it, you know what to do, but you just haven't taken the action to do it. I think it's very much to do with how we've been programmed to believe failure is a bad thing. Since being at school, we've been programmed to believe failure is bad. Now, if we could just take a couple of examples from history, we've got Thomas Edison, for example, who took credit for inventing the light bulb. I say took credit because I would contest it was Tesla that came out with the idea. But that's a side issue. So Edison took him over 10,000 attempts to invent the light bulb. When he was asked by the journalist, how does it feel to have failed nearly 10,000 times? His assistant's response was, well, this sucks. We've wasted lots of blood, sweat and tears. We should have given up a long time ago. You get the story. Edison's approach was, we haven't failed 10,000 times. We've simply found 10,000 ways that haven't worked. We've been successful in finding out 10,000 ways that have not worked, which means by the process of elimination, we know what doesn't work. So we're so much closer to finding out what will work. And then lo and behold, we have light bulbs. So it's that persistence of continuing to take the action. Albert Einstein, for example, was considered a slow learner at school, failed to impress his teachers, was considered not the brightest spark, and was told he needs to drop physics. Yet he's considered the father of the atomic age. We have George Washington, for example, who failed in 2/3 of his military battles, but yet went on to win the Revolutionary War and change American history forever. Who else is there? We have got Napoleon Bonaparte, for example. Okay, he failed to impress his teachers in France, was 42nd out of 43 students, yet he sort of conquered the world with an army he built himself. The people's failures and the lists go on and on. You don't remember their failures, you only remember their successes. If we take the word failure in the widely accepted term, I could say personally that, I failed to get the grades I wanted to at school, I failed to get the jobs that I wanted to, I failed in my marriage, I failed as being the best perfect parent I could possibly be. But if you understand, failure is not actually an event, it's an opinion. And as long as it's somebody else's opinion, the door for you to be able to walk straight through and be able to achieve the success that you want to achieve is always going to be wide open for you. See, failure is not, it's not actually an event, it's simply an outcome. It may not be the outcome that you wanted, but it's still an outcome. What you need to do is decide, what can I learn from this experience and how can I help that make me progress forward? As opposed to, well, I've come across that roadblock, that obstacle, and I'm going to give up. See, only when you consider failure as final will you finally be a failure. Everything that you do, whether you get the positive outcome that you want or the negative outcome, it's still a result, it's still progress. That is you progressing, that's not failure, okay? So get the thought process of failure is something that you can learn from. It's simply a perspective. So the 4 stages to a failure cycle, which we all do, it's ubiquitous in the human race that we will all do this, and it's the mechanics that we'll all do unconsciously. So I want to share with you the 4 things, the 4 stages that we will all do. Now, the purpose of this is to make you fully aware about it so that you can understand, how can I stop myself from this progressing? How can I get myself back to stage 1, which is where I need to be? So stage 1, for example, is the excitement stage. You look to the outcomes and the future and potential successes, and that's what you're excited about. Some Marxers will have you believe the future is bright, the future is orange. It is at that initial stage. So we get then to stage 2, which is called avoidance behavior. Now, this is where you start to delay, defer, and put off the actions that you know you need to take because you've come across some roadblocks, you've come across some obstacles, you've come across some people saying no to you, and you take that personally. So you start to avoid the behavior. You start to think, well, I'll just have a cup of tea first, or I'll just do something with my website, or I'll just do some admin, and then I'll go out and do the income producing activities that I need to do, or the activities that I need to do to make me strive towards my goals. So we've got stage 2 as avoidance behavior. Stage 3 then is the excuses. Now, no matter how big or how small the excuse is, we've all come out with excuses for non-performance in our lives. You can imagine the excuses that you possibly have come out with, or that you are still possibly using, that are stopping you from progressing to being, doing, and having what it is that you want. Most likely you'll know how to do it, you'll know what to do, it's just not taking the action to do it. For example, I came out with an excuse before I started my practice in personal development, which was I was losing my hair through alopecia. I was very conscious of my hair, and I didn't like the style, so I was wearing a cap to cover it from the public because I didn't want public perceptions of me to be, oh, you know, he's losing his hair, blah, 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 blah. So I thought to myself, my excuse was, I'm going to wait for my hair to grow back before I'll go out marketing, before I'll go out and network, before I start my business. Now, had I stuck with that thought process, guess what? I wouldn't have started my business. So my excuse, I decided, how can I overcome my excuse? I shaved my hair off. As you can see, I wanted to look like The Rock. My son told me I ended up looking like a pebble instead, and not like The Rock, the wrestler, which is kind of where I was wanting to go with it, but I didn't get it. Anyway, so that was the 3rd stage, excuses. Now the 4th stage is what we'll all do, and that is the finger of blame, no matter what it's at, who it's at, whether it's the economy, whether it's the weather, whether it's the government, whether it's the banks, whether it's your children, whether it's your schools, whether it's your teachers, parents, whoever this finger is pointing at, understand you actually have 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. Those 3 fingers should have the words tattooed on them, I am responsible. Out of everything that happens, there are things that are out of your control, but there are things within your control that can help you maintain the power to not associate the blame with somebody else and give the power to the other person for them to rectify before you can then continue on with your journey towards your goals. Now remember what I said, your goals, failure is, it's a perception, okay? So when we were young children, when we were learning to walk and talk, you may have fallen down 100 times. Guess what? You got up 101 times. Likewise with learning to talk, you may have made mistakes, but you continued and continued. Failure was not an option. Failure wasn't even part of our programming or our thought process. So it didn't even exist, and hence that's why we can all walk, we can all talk, to an extent. If as humans, as adults even, we continue that thought process, we will strive, we will achieve so much. But because of our fear of failure, our fear of success, our fear of not feeling loved, our fear of rejection, our fear of whatever it may be, we quit. And this is something that we do with our jobs. This is something we do with our relationships, with our bodies, with our finances, with everything. Now, unless you reprogram yourself, you're going to continue to make these errors again. You're going to get to the end of this failure cycle, start all over again, find something new to be excited about, then realize, well, it's not as straightforward as I thought. Then you start taking the avoidance behavior, then you start making the excuses, then you start with the blame, and then you'll find something new. So this is the moment where I like to call myself Morpheus, and I like to help you unplug yourself from the brainwashing of thinking failure is a bad thing. Failure is a good thing. It's a perspective that you need to change. That's all it is. So I'll finish off with a quote from, let's have a look. Who can I pick? Abraham Lincoln. Okay, best one. If I was given 6 hours to cut down a tree, I would spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. Likewise, that's all I'm encouraging you to do. If you are wanting to achieve the goals that you want to achieve in 2016, sharpen your axe. Don't try and approach 2016 with the same mindset, the same thought process as 2015, which didn't work in 2014 or 2013. Sharpen your axe, achieve your goals. If there's anything that I can do to help you, get in contact. It's SM3 Empowerment, home of personal development and business coaching. That is me over and out for now. Thank you.